Lamar Jackson has been in the spotlight a lot this season, and for good reason. Watching him out there, you can't help but notice the way he's maneuvering in the pocket, dodging hits, and still finding ways to make plays despite the relentless pressure. He's spoken openly about how he feels physically, saying he's good, he's able to practice, and he's ready to go on game days now. Whether he's feeling 100% or holding back some truth, it's hard to say. But one thing is clear, he's committed to stepping on the field and giving it everything he has. The offensive line, though, has been a recurring theme all season, and Lamar didn't shy away from talking about it, even if he did it with that trademark half-smile and playful tone. He pointed out that through the first 11 weeks, he's been sacked the same number of times he was all last season, and the team has given up 23 sacks already. That's a big jump, and it's something that no quarterback likes to see. Lamar made it clear he's going to address it with his guys. He wasn't pointing fingers or trying to embarrass anyone, but the message was serious. This has to improve. He wants to sit in that pocket and make plays without constantly running for his life. It's a tough situation because the Ravens haven't had the protection he's needed. Myles Garrett, in particular, made him work overtime during the game against the Browns. And while the team won't face another player of Garrett's caliber in the regular season, it highlights the ongoing issues with the offensive line. Even teams that aren't considered elite pass rushers are giving Lamar fits, and that's putting his health and performance at risk. The pressure he's dealing with isn't just uncomfortable, it's wearing him down, and even a player as mobile as Lamar can only absorb so much before it starts to affect his game. The hits have been brutal, especially in the pocket. Lamar explained that while he can escape some pressure outside the pocket, in tight situations, when he's not expecting a hit, it lands harder. When a defensive lineman explodes into the pocket and connects with full force, it's a shock to the system. He mentioned specific plays, like the hit from Ed Oliver and the roughing the passer call on Dallas Turner, and the way his body reacts when he's caught off guard. Defensive linemen aren't just strong, they're relentless. And when they get to you fast, it takes a toll physically and mentally. Even though Lamar has learned to protect himself better than he did as a rookie, there's only so much mobility can compensate for. In some games, he hasn't had the chance to maneuver the way he normally would because the pocket collapses so quickly. That's not a failure on his part. It's a reflection of how porous the offensive line has been. The interior line, in particular, has struggled to hold up, and that's a huge reason why he's been under constant duress. The stats speak for themselves. In Week 11, the Ravens ranked dead last in pass protection among all 30 teams. That's not an isolated problem, it's been the story of the season. The line's performance has fluctuated from play to play, sometimes showing flashes of competence, but often letting key assignments slip. Daniel Falele, for instance, has had a rough year, but he's not solely to blame. Other linemen have regressed or had off games, leaving Lamar exposed. Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, and others have all struggled at times, creating a situation where Lamar is forced to compensate constantly. And that's unsustainable. Coaching plays a role here too. The staff has to figure out a way to protect their star quarterback with the personnel on the field. Lamar cannot continue taking these hits week after week. He's already missed significant time due to injury, and the risk of more serious issues is looming if nothing changes. Even though he's a veteran now, he's dealing with new challenges this season. He's learning to manage his body differently. But it's not about age, he's far from old. It's about surviving the brutal realities of facing elite pass rushers with an inconsistent line in front of him. Despite the challenges, Lamar remains upbeat, balancing humor with seriousness when he addresses the situation. His half-joking remarks about talking to the guys highlight his leadership and awareness. But the underlying concern is clear. He wants better protection so the offense can function at full capacity. The team has shown what they can do when healthy and organized, when Lamar is unbothered. When the run game is effective and the line holds up, the offense can put up big numbers. But right now, there's a mismatch between his talent and the support he's getting. And that gap is costing the team opportunities. Adding to the complexity is the run game. Last season, the Ravens effectively used play action to slow down the pass rush, creating breathing room for Lamar. This year, that dynamic is missing. The running lanes aren't opening like they should, which allows defenders to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback immediately. Lamar's mobility can only do so much when the line fails to establish fundamentals, and the running game struggles. It's a combination of factors. The pressure is faster, The hits are harder, and the support that made the offense dynamic last year isn't consistently present this year. Interestingly, Lamar also addressed how rarely he's truly caught from behind in the open field. He emphasized that most of the sacks and hits come in situations where defenders have a clear advantage, often in tight pockets, even when plays go awry or a pass is deflected. He's finding ways to stay on his feet and continue moving. The issue isn't lack of speed or effort, it's the surrounding circumstances, the offensive line, the defensive talent he's facing, and the inability to establish the run game effectively. The statistics tell the story clearly. Pressure to sack ratios, offensive line rankings, and game footage all point to a team that must adapt quickly. Patrick McCrary replacing Andrew Voorhees, for example, highlights how much even small personnel changes can impact the offensive line's performance. While Lamar continues to push through and play at a high level, the Ravens need to find solutions, whether through coaching adjustments, personnel changes, or better execution. Otherwise, the pressure on Lamar will continue to mount, and the team's offensive potential will remain capped. Lamar Jackson remains a quarterback capable of remarkable plays, and his leadership keeps the team in games even when the circumstances are far from ideal. He's managing injuries, facing relentless defenders, and navigating a line that hasn't consistently protected him. Yet he continues to put the offense in a position to succeed. The challenge for the Ravens is clear. They need to find a way to keep him upright, utilize their running game effectively, and provide the protection necessary for their MVP-caliber quarterback to thrive. This season has shown that talent alone isn't enough when the supporting cast struggles. And Lamar's comments reflect both the reality of the situation and his commitment to overcoming it. Now, let's dive into some of the numbers that really paint a picture of what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' offense are dealing with this season. Minnickheim's brought up some fascinating stats that reveal just how much the pressure has changed for Lamar compared to last season. When Lamar was under pressure, he had one of the best pressure-to-sack ratios in the league. He was able to escape trouble, buy time, and make plays even when the defense was coming at him. This year, that number has dropped to near the bottom. He's being sacked 30% of the time he faces pressure, which is a massive jump and a sign that opposing defenses have figured out how to exploit the gaps in Baltimore's protection. It's the kind of stat that makes you wince, because it shows how quickly a quarterback's situation can shift when the offensive line isn't performing up to standard. What's interesting is that the only major change to the offensive line was the addition of Patrick McCrary for Andrew Voorhees. On paper, it might not seem like a huge shift, but the impact has been noticeable. Voorhees brought veteran experience and a kind of versatility that McCrary, as talented as he is, hasn't fully matched yet. That difference may be subtle in some plays, but glaring in others, especially when defenders explode through the line and Lamar has to scramble to save himself. It's not that McCrary isn't capable, it's that the chemistry and timing across the line have been disrupted, and in football, milliseconds count. Lamar's mobility helps cover those gaps, but even he can't create space out of thin air when pressure is instantaneous and defenders are flying off the edge. This ties directly into the Ravens' running game, or rather, the lack of it. Last season, the run game was a cornerstone of their offense, opening up lanes and creating the play-action opportunities that allowed Lamar to shine. This year, the running game has been inconsistent. Derrick Henry has still been effective when given space, but the opportunities haven't been as frequent or as clean. Without a dominant run game, defenses can pin their ears back and go straight after Lamar, knowing the secondary threat isn't there to make them hesitate. It's a domino effect. Poor run support leads to heavy pressure, which leads to sacks, hurried throws, and disrupted rhythm. The stats Minnickheim's highlighted show that the pressure on Lamar isn't just bad luck, it's systemic. Even in games where the Ravens have had success, Lamar has been forced to work harder than ever. Against teams with elite pass rushers, like the Browns, he's been tested repeatedly. The contrast between last season's efficiency and this year's struggles is stark. A healthy, well-protected Lamar can dissect a defense in seconds, but this season, the offensive line hasn't allowed him that luxury. He's had to rely on improvisation, sidestepping, and his trademark burst, but it's exhausting, and it exposes him to unnecessary hits. Even with his elite athleticism, you can see the toll in the way he moves. He's still capable of those game-changing plays, but he's operating under far more pressure than any quarterback should endure consistently. And it's not just about individual linemen failing, it's about the collective unit. The offensive line has moments of competence, but too often, it feels like a rotating door of effectiveness. One player steps up, the next falters. Daniel Falele has had struggles. Ronnie Stanley has taken steps back. Tyler Linderbaum has had his moments of vulnerability. And Rosengard has seen regression in key games. The combination means Lamar is constantly forced to react rather than dictate, and even a player as agile as him can only compensate for so much. Coaches need to find a solution, whether through adjustments, schemes, or personnel. If the line doesn't improve, the offensive ceiling will always be capped, and the quarterback's health remains in jeopardy. Lamar himself recognizes the challenge. He's mentioned that he doesn't feel old. He doesn't feel beaten down in a permanent sense. But he's learning to manage his body in a way that protects him, while still allowing him to play at an elite level. It's a balancing act. You want to be aggressive. You want to extend plays. You want to push defenses to their limits. But every time a defender bursts through the line before you can execute a read, it's a risk to both the play and your body. That's where experience comes into play. And Lamar is adapting in real time. Every game, every hit, every scrambled throw adds to his knowledge of how to survive in the pocket while still putting the offense in a position to succeed. The stats Kimes presented also highlight a glaring issue. The Ravens are no longer creating the clean pockets that allowed Lamar to thrive last year. The pressure is faster, more consistent, and coming from angles he didn't face as frequently before. That affects decision-making, timing, and confidence in the system. Even small inefficiencies become magnified under constant duress. Play action, previously a key weapon, is less effective without a dominant run game. Defenders can cheat the pass, knowing the run threat is limited, and that makes Lamar's job infinitely harder. It's not that he isn't talented enough, it's that the system around him has to adapt to his strengths, and right now, that adaptation hasn't fully happened. Another layer to consider is how Lamar handles unexpected hits. He's emphasized that most of the hard hits come from the pocket. When he's in a read progression and not anticipating contact, it's different than being on the move, where his agility allows him to evade and soften blows in those tight pockets. A 300-pound lineman coming through at full speed is a force of nature, and repeated exposure can take a toll over the course of a season. Lamar's athletic intelligence allows him to mitigate some risk, but the frequency and intensity of these hits still have consequences. Even the most disciplined veteran quarterbacks can't entirely escape the physical punishment. And that's where Baltimore's offensive strategy must evolve. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Whispers are circulating through the league, and the latest one could set the NFL world on fire. Sources suggest that a Ravens defender, a cornerstone of the team's gritty defense, might have stepped into the shadows for a late-night meeting with none other than the Cincinnati Bengals. The move, if true, would come as a shock to fans and analysts alike, as this player has long been considered untouchable, a loyal presence in Baltimore's defensive schemes. Yet, here we are, with rumors hinting at clandestine conversations, hushed negotiations, and a potential reshaping of defensive power dynamics in the AFC. The details are murky, as they often are in situations like this. Some insiders whisper that the player himself sought the meeting, exploring options and gauging interest from a rival team. Others suggest that representatives from the Bengals reached out, seeing an opportunity to pry away a talent that could instantly bolster their roster. The meeting reportedly happened under the radar, away from prying eyes, fueling speculation about secrecy and strategy. It's the kind of off-field maneuvering that could make or break a season, and naturally, social media has erupted with theories, memes, and hot takes, even without confirmation. What's clear is that the mere rumor of such a rendezvous sends ripples through both franchises. Ravens fans, protective of their defensive stalwart, are bracing for potential fallout, while Bengals supporters are daring to dream about a blockbuster acquisition. Analysts are weighing the implications. Would the defender fit into Cincinnati's defensive schemes? And how would Baltimore respond if the whispers prove true? The intrigue alone is enough to dominate sports talk, as everyone speculates on motivations, loyalties, and the next possible move in a saga that could escalate quickly. In a league where loyalty is prized but deals are made in shadows, this rumored midnight meeting has all the ingredients of a dramatic story: mystery, secrecy, and the tantalizing possibility of a star player changing teams under the cover of darkness. Whether it's just a whisper or the prelude to a major shift, the NFL world is watching, waiting for the next twist in a plot that's already igniting feverish debate. From Baltimore to Cincinnati. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.